Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today we are going to be doing some painting. I'm a little bit nervous about how this is going to go. I did the unboxing and the review of the new Studio 71 planner from DaySpring. I will link that down below for you guys. They came out with two new devotional planners. So these are really awesome, really different than what I have used in the past. These planners, just as a really quick recap, they have devotional content in the beginning of each month of the planner. And then you've got your typical planner goodies. And then at the end of the month, they have like a little section where you can kind of revisit some of the ways that, you had prayers or God answered prayers, challenges you faced, scriptures that you were studying, all kinds of goodness in here. So it's a great way to combine just your regular day-to-day planning with your faith life and faith walk. And so I have this one here. This is the like periwinkle blue. It says be still and know with the gold foiling. Super, super pretty. But I am obsessed with florals and I love customizing things. So I came up with the idea of using some acrylic paints to paint some florals on the front of my planner. And so what I did, and as a suggestion to you guys if you're going to do something similar, is to test it out, practice it out, do a dry run like on something else before you do your planner. Acrylic paint is pretty like unforgiving once it's dry, and so I want to make sure that I'm comfortable with it before I go directly to my planner. So what I have here is just a watercolor sketch notebook that I got at Hobby Lobby, and you've seen me use this in a recent video where I did a Bible journaling entry for Creative Retreat Kits, and I like tested it out in here first. And so that's kind of what I'm using this notebook for, is just for testing things out and practicing different techniques and skills and things like that. So I have this a floral arrangement that I'm going to recreate here on the front of my planner. I'm going to add some other things and add some more florals, but this just gave me an opportunity to play with color combinations, doing different leaves, different size florals, to see what I like and what's going to work before I go onto my planner. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what we are going to be creating today. And on my palette here, I've already squeezed out just a whole bunch of different colors. I have found that for the best results, you really want to use a lot of color. You want lights and darks, and one of the kind of key tricks to this working out as well is to leave your brush dirty. And so I'll kind of walk you through that as we put this together. I am going to put a Bible mat, or this is just a flexible cutting mat from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put that underneath there just to protect the rest of my planner as I work on here. Now I'm sure some of you are going to be asking about like a fixative or gesso and things like that. I'm not going to mess with that today. This does have a little bit of a slick surface, but it's matte also. So I think that the paint is going to stick on here just fine. I don't carry my planner like in my purse or things like that, and so I'm not really too concerned about the wear of it. So I'm not going to be like spraying a fixative or adding gesso or matte gel medium or anything like that over the top of it, because I don't want to affect the gold foiling. And if I add something over the top of it, I think it's going to dull the foiling. So I'm just going to add it on there, and if it doesn't wear well, it doesn't wear well. It's not the end of the world, but I'm going to give it a go. So let me go ahead and put you on fast forward, and we will paint some florals on my planner. All right, so let's dive in and get started. So you can see I've got a smallish flat brush, and I am loading up with a lot of different colors. So I'm starting with the centers of these florals, and I'm picking up a little bit of deep brown. That's kind of a rose gold color up there, and then some white. And I'm just making some little messy, wonky, circular shapes with small C's, which you'll see again and again and again throughout this video. So you can see I'm not wetting my brush. I want a dry brush, so I'm just brushing it off on a piece of paper towel. And for the transition from the centers to the petals, I want to make sure that that center paint is dry, because I don't want that brown to be mixing in with these petals when I get started. So for the most part, I work, wet paint into wet paint, but when you're going from those centers to the leaves or to the petals, you do want to dry that layer. Now, as I add in my petals, you can see I'm making more C shapes, and I'm wanting a darker center and a lighter outer portion. And so again, I'm picking up, a deep pink, a light pink, some white, a little bit of coral. The more color you load up on there, the more dimension and interest happens with the petals and the way the overall floral looks. And while the paint is wet, you can still work it. So you'll see I come back in with some lighter pink, and then I add in some darker pink, and then I come in and add, yellow, and then, it really transitions several times before I step away from it. And even when I initially finished the floral to now as I'm watching the video back, it kind of changes the way that it looks. And I don't know, it's just a process that you just have to experiment with. So for this one here, you can see I'm going more corals and yellows. One thing that I did discover in my testing was that I have that deeper mustard yellow down there. That is a Tim Holtz Distress paint. And I thought initially that those would be the better paints for this project because they're meant to work on mixed medium projects like this. But I really struggled with that paint because it is a little bit more fluid and liquidy. I had a harder time getting these defined petal shapes. So I would go stick towards, I used a lot of like Apple Barrel, Martha Stewart, those types of acrylic paints seem to work better. And you want a lot of paint. So there is a little bit of texture to these florals. There is, globs of paint, which means it takes a little bit longer to dry. But that also helps with the dimension and giving you, different shadows and highlights and things like that. This is very, very abstract. If you are totally scared by the idea of painting directly onto an expensive planner like this, you could do this on a piece of like transparency, or maybe you want to run some plastic through a laminator and then create a cover for this and paint on that, where then you could, throw it away if you had to, or if you messed up, you could redo it, and then insert it over the top of this. That might be a little bit safer way to do this project. So as we move on to the leaves, here's where, acrylic paints aren't super, super forgiving. Like that sprig of leaves on the right hand side, I don't love how the shapes came out. I don't love how that looks, and I'm kind of stuck with it. And as this evolves and as it comes together, I don't notice it as much, but those leaves just look a little stiff for my liking. It's hard to explain. They just don't look like they have movement, I guess. So that's just kind of the downside to a project like this. You really just have to commit and hope for the best. Hope for the best. But you can see by varying, how much white or how little white changes the look of these leaves and the greens, even though I'm only using 2 different green colors. On one I add some of the brown, on one I add a little bit of that rose gold, and you just kind of explore and play with it. And you can come back in and deepen things up or add highlights later. So there's really it's a really fun project because you can just turn on some worship music and just hang out and paint. I love this, and I forget how much I love creating these florals. I've thought about getting some canvases when they are on sale and maybe practicing playing with creating florals like this on canvases. It's just really relaxing and fun and kind of different from some of the other stuff that I do. So you can see I come back in and add some yellow and white to the center of the flowers, just to add some highlights and interest drawn into the center of them. And now I'm just creating different little sprigs, different sizes. Here's some little buds. What I did was I got on Pinterest. If you look at my Bible journaling inspiration board, I'll link that down below. You'll see that I pinned a variety of acrylic floral paintings that I found on there and kind of use those for inspiration for different shapes, different layering, different color combinations, and things like that. So I'll link that down below and you can check out what I've pinned down there. So now I'm just going to fill in some blank areas with just some dots. I'm picking up a little bit of that rose gold and the white. That rose gold is not the same color gold as what is on the planner already, but I don't use very much of it, but I like that it adds just a little bit of metallic sheen in these florals when you tilt the cover or when it catches the light. So now I'm going to add a little small cluster here in the top corner, and again I'm starting by laying down the center of the flowers in that deep brown and then drying that, and then now I can come in with my pinks and yellows and whites and things like that, so you can kind of again see how this comes together. I have sped this up quite a bit. You can adjust the speed of my videos in the settings if you want to slow it down and take a look at it, but really it's just the messier the better. I switch back and forth between a smaller flat brush and a little bit larger of a flat brush, and what I forgot to mention is when I did the leaves and things, I did switch to a small round brush, and that seemed to work a little bit better. And you can adjust your pressure, so you know, here I kind of push down on the brush as I'm making a downstroke, and that kind of gives me that more rounded leaf shape, and just, you know, filling things in. Like I said, it really helps to practice this on a separate piece of cardstock or paper to kind of figure out where you want your arrangement to be. But just be brave and dive in. I know you can do it. If you do recreate something like this on the front of your Bible or your planner, go ahead and tag me, #LindseyDecor, and then I can see your creations too. I love getting to see how you guys recreate, you know, projects from my videos, and that's just a lot of fun for me to see. So that'd be great if you would tag me, #LindseyDecor, so I can see your acrylic florals. Going in and just adding some little yellow pieces to fill in areas, and then finishing up with those just random little dots. And that is pretty much going to finish this up. I am obsessed. I love how this came out. So if you want to try something like this, I will have the planners linked down below, and you can grab one of those for yourself and recreate something like this. This just makes me even more excited to dive in and use this planner. I love it. If you don't feel brave enough to paint your own flowers, they do have a floral option as well, so you can check that out. So there is a look at the flowers. Love it. Let me know what you think down below. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. Check out the description box for links to everything that I used today. I don't have specific colors listed because I use tons and tons, so use what's in your stash. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.